4 children believed to be in grave danger were found quickly after an Amber Alert earlier today.
It reaches a lot of people in a short amount of time.
What was so concerning about this case and why there was a delay in using the Amber Alert system?
A Layton woman's body is found 108 miles away here near the town of Randolph. Her family wants her mystery solved.
Gorgeous today, but guess what? Big changes are coming. Tomorrow, the wind picks up here across the state, and then a strong storm arrives. How it could impact your weekend.
A Salt Lake City park known for its art looks a lot different tonight.
This is a more wide-scale attempt than I think we've seen before.
Vandalism, theft, and the impact on a community. A class on pornography is being offered for students at a college here in Utah. Why the school says this unusual course matters.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Tonight, 4 children are with the Department of Child and Family Services, and 2 women are in custody after an Amber Alert was peacefully resolved. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bob Evans. Kelly is off tonight. Fox 13 News reporter Brian Schnee joins us live from South Salt Lake Police Headquarters with how law enforcement was able to quickly locate the people involved. Brian.
South Salt Lake Police put out some information Wednesday morning on social media looking for 2 suspects that are accused of taking 4 children, violating a court order. Now, according to law enforcement, one of the things that they were most concerned about was a text message that the mother sent to a social worker saying that the children were killed or were going to be killed.
We need to locate vehicles involved in an Amber Alert, out of South Salt Lake. Once again, out of South Salt Lake Break.
Multiple law enforcement agencies were trying to locate 2 vehicles believed to be driven by Yaneli Murillo and her mother, Maria Murillo. According to South Salt Lake Police, the 2 women did not turn over 2 of the 4 children to the Division of Child and Family Services after the department was awarded custody during a virtual hearing.
We are so relieved and so thrilled that we've located the children, but there's a lot of work still left to be done.
Within 90 minutes of an Amber Alert being issued,
It does work quickly. It reaches a lot of people in a short amount of time.
the 2 suspects and children were found at a home in West Valley City.
I would say that they saw this. I think there was some pressure with it hitting the media and a lot of people. I don't know the status of the investigation, but yes, it was kind of that. We see that there's this going on and there's a lot of people that know about it, and we need to come up with a way to surrender and turn ourselves in.
Croyle says there was a slight delay in using the Amber Alert system, but it was because of the safeguards in place.
We don't want that system to be overused, and it is really an important program, but again, those guidelines are pretty strict in what those requirements are, and we felt like all 4 of the children were endangered, and we just had to work through that through the investigation.
Whether it was the alert itself, a strong push on social media, or a significant push from local media, all 4 children were found safe, and the 2 suspects were taken into police custody.
As far as recoveries go and finding the children, it's been extremely successful. Now, whether that's due, contributed specifically to, hey, I saw an Amber Alert, then I saw the car, or just good police work, or a combination of both. But usually when this, when the Amber Alert goes out, it's highly successful that the child is recovered, whether as a direct or indirect result of the Amber Alert.
7 Amber Alerts in Utah in 2020, 8 in 2021, and now 3 already this year in 2022. All of them unique, but serving the same purpose of getting those children back safely. Now, in terms of the 2 suspects from the incident that took place today, we're told that the charges they could face stem from abduction, kidnapping, to violating a court order. Live in South Salt Lake tonight, Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Brian, thank you. Now, not all Amber Alerts are resolved as quickly as this one. 7 days ago, an Amber Alert was issued for these 3 missing children. Police think their mother, 27-year-old Conchita Leona Peralta, and 33-year-old Fermín Figueroa Luque, took them from Salt Lake City to South Dakota. An Amber Alert was not issued here in Utah. The Salt Lake Police confirmed to Fox 13 News tonight they are still searching for the children. If you have seen those children or their mother, call 911 immediately. New tonight, a date has been set for the jury trial of Lori Vallow Daybell in Idaho. She is charged with the murder of her two children, JJ and Tylee. Her trial is scheduled to start on October 11th at the Ada County Courthouse in Boise. She made her first court appearance yesterday after being ruled competent to stand trial last week. She pleaded not guilty to all charges. A new course that will be offered at Westminster College this summer is generating a lot of controversy on social media. It's a course on hardcore pornography, which the course description calls as, quote, American as apple pie and more popular than Sunday night football, unquote. It's an elective worth 2 credits. The school says students in the course watch pornographic films together and then discuss them as an art form and cultural phenomenon. A college spokesperson sent Fox 13 News this statement that says in part, quote, Westminster College and universities across the country often examine potentially offensive topics like pornography to further understand their pervasiveness and impact. Descriptions of these courses, while alarming to some readers, help students decide if they wish to engage in serious investigation of controversial subjects. This course will help students learn how to think critically about the influence of digital media culture. It's important to note that Westminster College is a private school. Tonight, several agencies are picking up the pieces and searching for the vandals responsible for damaging multiple works of art in Salt Lake City's International Peace Gardens. Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree shows us how several pieces of art have disappeared.
Walking around, tragically, some of the benches are missing their tops or the bases are completely kicked out, and that's not normal.
James Tomasek has walked through the International Peace Gardens several times before. Today, the state of some of the artwork confused him.
I actually thought it was from, storms or something.
This week, the Salt Lake City Public Lands Department noticed damage on several pieces in the garden. They realized someone was trying to steal them.
The indicators are very obvious. There are saw marks from an obvious metal cutting tool on specifically the harp piece for the Wales country. There are obvious pry marks from a crowbar trying to lift off some of the other pieces that were mounted. Even some what appear to be sledgehammer blows trying to disconnect them from the mounting piece.
Public Lands decided to remove 6 pieces of art from the gardens to restore and protect them, but also out of respect for the artists.
It's really, really sad and disheartening to see that this happens. We know the community loves these pieces of art, and we know that they'll be devastated to hear this news.
The harp and the mermaid that used to sit on this rock won't be gone forever. While artists are working on repairs, the Public Lands Department is recruiting park rangers and trying to find a more secure way to mount these pieces.
We hope that we can get the artwork back in place as soon as possible.
Aaron Benson thinks he knows why thieves went after these works of art.
Primarily, these pieces are made from brass, which has a pretty high salvage value. And people are looking to recycle them for money.
Sadly, theft isn't new to the Peace Gardens.
This is a more wide-scale attempt than I think we've seen before. Typically, it's been a piece, like one or two things here and there over time. This was multiple pieces at a single moment in time.
In Salt Lake City, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Officials ask that if you have any information on the theft, to reach out to Salt Lake Police at the number on your screen. It is 801-799-3000. And as Jenna mentioned, the Salt Lake City Public Lands Department has recently hired more than a dozen people and is preparing to launch its new park ranger program in the next few months. There was a brush fire in Saratoga Springs this evening. This video was shot by Devin Sorensen. The smoke could be seen for miles. Police say the call came in at about 5:45 at the radio-controlled Airplane City Park. About 4 acres were burned before crews were able to get the fire under control. Nobody was hurt, no evacuations. The cause of the fire is under investigation. But most assuredly, Allison, we are in the wildfire season now.
Absolutely. We have red flag warnings for the Moab area tomorrow. We had a very pretty sunset tonight. This picture posted by Stacy in our Facebook group. Thanks so much for sending this in. I love the different pictures that we've been getting of the sunrise, the sunset, even that dust that we had yesterday. Had a lot of pictures, but today much better weather. We have less wind tonight than we did earlier today. And when you wake up tomorrow morning, less clouds, mid-50s. Your grass probably won't be wet tomorrow morning thanks to the overnight precipitation that we had this morning when we woke up, but tonight we'll have drier conditions. By 9 a.m., 60 degrees. So it'll be a mild start tomorrow. And then our wind is really going to pick up late morning, 74 degrees for a high in Salt Lake City, mostly cloudy and windy tomorrow. We do have a strong storm that I'm tracking for you. So your top headlines, strongest storm will be Friday to Saturday. We'll see our heaviest precipitation likely Friday evening. Very gusty conditions tomorrow ahead of that storm. And then a lot of snow possible up in the mountains. Could see some travel impacts. So what about here in the valleys? Let's talk about it coming up.
One might call this a tumbling problem.
Oh, jeez. Never would imagine my new house would be covered in tumbleweeds.
What residents in the city are doing for this tumbleweed infestation in Eagle Mountain.
The worst thing we could do is assume that we've conquered that and that that's behind us.
First, accusations of racial harassment, then a federal investigation. Now a big change to Davis School District leadership. We'll introduce you to the new superintendent.
Some Democrats hope the state party doesn't contest the U.S. Senate race, hoping independent Evan McMullin might win. We're going to show you how Democrats lost statewide power over one generation.
Game 3 between the Jazz and Mavericks tomorrow night. Coming up, we'll hear from Mike Conley. He'll tell us what the Jazz need to do better to win Game 3.
There is an unusual problem in the city of Eagle Mountain. It tumbled into town with yesterday's windstorm. As Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph shows us tonight, residents are finding some interesting ways to deal with it.
Tuesday's windstorm is causing a few issues in Eagle Mountain. And well, you might say the city of Eagle Mountain is having a little bit of a tumbleweed problem.
Tumbleweeds are a twice-a-year occurrence here in Eagle Mountain.
The city does know this can happen.
And it typically takes place in the spring and the fall. We're prepared, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't take the community by surprise, and that's what we're dealing with. We often handle and oversee the disposal of multiple tons of tumbleweeds.
But some streets were even completely blocked in Tuesday's tumbleweed turmoil.
You don't quite understand how much that is until you are actually in the process of cleaning it up. Our streets crews dedicate hours and hours and hours to assessing tumbleweed situations and communicating with our residents to make sure that they know how to properly dispose of them.
Okay. One of those residents
Yeah, have you seen the hole behind?
is Alexis Erickson.
No need to landscape. We're going for that desert look.
You might say she's a bit of a newcomer, only moving in last week.
Never would imagine my new house would be covered in tumbleweeds.
At first, she just tried to throw them out.
But our little can only did about, one load before it was full.
Now she's resorting to something a little more combustible. The city suggests either getting a burn permit or they give vouchers to the local landfill. But there's a third option.
One of the things that our residents have often done is they'll put the tumbleweeds on Etsy and sell them as an interior design item, and I know that a lot of folks have found some success there.
So whether it's selling, burning, or dumping,
oh jeez,
it's a cleanup that's unusual, to say the least.
That's something different.
In Eagle Mountain, Spencer Joseph.
It's its own brand of special.
Fox 13 News.
And sharp.
Utah.
We are on the eve of Game 3 between the Utah Jazz and the Dallas Mavericks, and we have the home court advantage tomorrow night. Fox 13 News was there inside Vivint Arena today and saw crews getting the arena ready for fans, laying out the shirts on each seat. Fox 13 News anchor Kelly Chapman will be live at Vivint Arena And Fox 13 Sports Director Jeff Rainier will be with her during Fox 13 News Live at 4 and Fox 13 News Live at 5 for team coverage of Game 3 between the Mavs and the Jazz. Tip-off is tomorrow night at 7 p.m.
And tomorrow afternoon will be a windy one here across the state. We had less dust today. Overall, a stunning afternoon. Trent posted this picture in our Facebook group, so thank you so much. Nice to be able to see the mountains. I'm not exactly sure where this picture was taken, but wherever this is, I want to be there. Really nice conditions today. But guess what? Big changes are coming. We desperately need more precipitation here across Utah, and we have a strong storm that's going to bring widespread rain and snow as we wrap up the week. So Friday morning, we're going to start seeing this precipitation moving into western Utah. This is going to be sitting right over us for most of the weekend. And then Saturday morning, 7 a.m., the main low pressure system will be off to our east. We're going to continue seeing some impacts here across Utah through Sunday. Salt Lake City right now, downtown Salt Lake City right by Vivint. Dry roads, 56 degrees, a comfortable evening for the patio, but then our wind is really going to pick up again tomorrow. So if you happen to be outside tonight and you put your umbrella up, take all of that down, secure everything in your yard, especially if you're in southwest Utah. That's where it's going to be the windiest tomorrow. But right now, 57 for Cedar City, 57 for Delta, 59 for Milford, 59 for Provo, 58 for Ogden, 49 in the Cache Valley right now with dry conditions here across the state. Mostly clear sky here along the Wasatch Front this evening. When you wake up tomorrow morning, you'll have sunshine and then you'll have the wind. Pausing this at 9 a.m. This wind's going to get going pretty early tomorrow morning. So we're going to have our strongest wind gusts in western Utah. This does include along I-15 between Cedar City and about the Panguitch area. Up in the mountains, we're going to see very strong wind gusts. This is through 8 o'clock tomorrow night, right along I-15 near Cedar City. Very strong wind gusts, possible more than 45 miles per hour. We see gusty conditions all the way up to I-80 here in Salt Lake City. And then through tomorrow night, Friday morning, we're still going to continue by 3 a.m. on Friday with some strong wind gusts. And then we head into Friday afternoon, and we see this mostly towards the Colorado border. But top headlines, we're going to have a strong storm. Heaviest precipitation will be Friday and Saturday. We're going to have gusty conditions tomorrow and a lot of snow possible up in the mountains. So tomorrow morning when you wake up, mid-50s with clear sky here in Salt Lake City. Overnight temps in the 40s and 50s for much of the state. And then for Salt Lake City tomorrow, 75 degrees, mostly cloudy and windy tomorrow. St. George, 82. 62 on Friday, chance for some thunderstorms, sunny and 70s this weekend. Salt Lake, low 50s Friday, Saturday, 57 on Sunday. Chances for rain and maybe even some snow down to the valley floors. Let's talk more about that later in the hour.
All right, thank you, Allison. Still ahead, Utah Senators Mike Lee and Mitt Romney pay a visit to the Beehive State today. What they helped unveil that will deliver life-saving therapies around the world. And we'll explain the role researchers at the University of Utah have in learning more about the world's oldest surviving book. Just into the Fox 13 newsroom, the Cache County Sheriff's Office is sharing more details on yesterday's armed robbery, police chase, and officer-involved shooting. The suspect, 36-year-old Isaac Washaki, has been released from the hospital and taken to the state prison after being shot by sheriff's deputies yesterday afternoon. Washaki was on parole for a previous conviction. He is accused of stealing a van from a Wellsville family at gunpoint yesterday and leading police on a high-speed chase before being shot in the town of Paradise. 2 Cache County Sheriff's deputies are on paid administrative leave while the shooting is being investigated. Utah Democrats hold their state party convention on Saturday, and some of them hope their party does not put a candidate forward for the U.S. Senate seat held right now by Republican Mike Lee. They think independent candidate Evan McMullin would have a better chance at beating Lee. Fox 13 News anchor Max Roth takes an in-depth look tonight at the Democrats' long-standing lack of statewide power in Utah.
Democrats used to challenge Republicans in communities up and down the state, and power changed hands on a fairly regular basis. But Democrats lost their statewide strength over a 32-year stretch before the turn of the century. In 1964, Utah was part of Lyndon Johnson's landslide win over Barry Goldwater for president. In 1970, Utah elected Democratic Senator Frank Moss to his third and final term. In 1974, Utah elected a Democratic majority to the state house for the last time, 41 Democrats hailing from 9 counties. Compare that to Democratic territory in today's House. Right now, 17 Democrats represent districts in 2 counties. Democrats held the state Senate last in 1976. 15 Democrats from 7 counties with districts covering many more. Right now, 7 Democratic state senators all serve residents of Salt Lake County. And the last 2 statewide wins in Utah, Governor Scott Matheson, elected in 1980, and Attorney General Jan Graham, elected in 1996. That's all about statewide politics. Utah Democrats have grown their regional strength in Salt Lake City, West Valley City, and on Salt Lake's east benches. And they continue to show strength in pockets of Weber, Summit, Carbon, and Grand counties. In the newsroom, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A Layton family is desperate for answers after the body of a missing woman is found outside a rural Utah town. Coming up.
Delayed reporting and data entry errors, just some of what came out of this audit of police departments at Utah's higher education institutions. What's being recommended moving forward?
Game 3 between the Jazz and Mavericks tomorrow night. Will Luka Doncic suit up? We'll hear from the Mavericks superstar.
The family of a young woman missing from Layton is looking for answers tonight after her body was found near the town of Randolph in Rich County. 22-year-old Sophia Lauer was laid to rest on Monday, but there are still many unanswered questions about how she died. Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser spoke with her family.
Out in the fields and hills of northeastern Utah, just outside the town of Randolph, population 496, the family of Sophia Lauer knows someone knows something.
Just the mystery of it all. We want the mystery solved.
22-year-old Lauer was last seen back in February at her family's home in Layton. Her sister, Veronica Bear, says she brought people over and shared their plans to travel 108 miles away to Randolph.
And they came in and introduced themselves, and my mom made sure that they swapped phone numbers so that my mom could keep tabs on her. And then she went with them.
Lauer stayed in contact with her family until one day in March, communication stopped. A group of teenage boys riding dirt bikes found her body on April 8th near a road 5 miles west of town.
We want to know how she ended up where she ended up, like why she ended up where she was.
Bear says Lauer was beautiful with a striking imagination. She'd go out of her way to compliment others and saw a light in every person she met.
Sophia spent the last 2 months with us, and I'm grateful every single day that I got to have those.
She says her sister struggled with addiction, and she hopes her story can spread some awareness.
That there's predators out there. There's people that prey on naive girls, and they'll take your family members away.
And for those battling similar demons, she's asking you to never be afraid to lean on your loved ones.
They may seem frustrated with you, and you may be frustrated with them because they're not seeing your point of view, and it's because they want you to live. They don't want you to be taken away too soon.
It's been almost 2 weeks since Lauer's body was found, and deputies have not yet released a cause of death. We don't know anything about who she came to Randolph with, and the Rich County Sheriff's Office is not doing any interviews at this time due to the ongoing investigation. Lauer's sister is asking you, if you know anything, please contact authorities. Reporting in Randolph, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Davis School District has a new superintendent tonight. Dr. Daniel Linford was unanimously approved at a special meeting of the school board today. Linford takes over after an investigation by the Department of Justice into claims of widespread racial harassment of Black and Asian students was announced last fall. In a settlement with the district, DOJ officials ordered a sweeping program to correct the issues. Linford knows there is a lot of work to do to challenge racism in the district.
I do believe that harassment happens every day because I see it, because it comes across my desk every day. And I believe, unfortunately, that's probably happened in a lot of spaces around the country, and it certainly happens here. But I also believe that we have a world-class response to that in our school district.
Dr. Linford replaces Reed Newey, who is retiring at the end of this year. He will officially assume his duties as superintendent July 1st. An audit of police departments at Utah's colleges and universities says changes still need to be made. Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold was on hand today when the audit was presented to state lawmakers.
I think I can confidently say that our institutions take this very seriously. They really want to get this right.
Audit Supervisor Jake Dinsdale says multiple legislators requested a deep look at whether there was a different way to approach university police.
The data shows that 98% of public institutions have their own campus law enforcement agency.
The audit didn't recommend that university police responsibilities be delegated to city or county law enforcement agencies. Now, there were several key findings, including several data errors at nearly all 8 of the public higher ed institutions in Utah when it comes to the Clery Act, requiring public and private colleges and universities to disclose information pertaining to certain crimes that happen on or near campus. Also highlighted several issues on the University of Utah campus, including instances where U of U entities didn't properly communicate safety information to university police. In particular, the audit shows cases where U of U housing did not make required reports to university police.
The effect on these is simply the delay and the loss of the opportunity to respond in a more timely manner.
This all comes more than 3 years after Lauren McCluskey was shot and killed outside her dorm by a man she dated. This after she made several attempts to report she was being harassed.
When I came in to do an independent investigation of the university's response to Lauren McCluskey, is just great advance and support and resources being put forward to really address those coordination issues.
Keith Squires, the chief safety officer at the U of U, spoke about his goal if there's a threat or risk to those on campus.
That they are able to have trust and get that information to our police department so that it can be immediately investigated.
Overall, state higher education officials say there's a lot of work they can continue to do.
Our institutions have done a lot to this point, but there's still more to do, and we will continue to work on that.
The audit made several recommendations, including having the University of Utah streamline the reporting to make it more effective. They're also asking higher education institutions to consider ways to improve police operations with both accountability and independence of an outside entity. On the Hill, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Utah Senators Mike Lee and Mitt Romney helped unveil a new vaccine and medical technology facility in Ogden today. The 55,000 square foot facility will be used by Thermo Fisher Scientific.
Ogden, you are now delivering life-saving therapies to the world. This is a supportive community and one that I'm sure that you will continue to discover as you already have.
Senator Romney says the quality of Utah's workforce is what made Thermo Fisher Scientific CEO choose Utah for its expansion.
He said, this is not something you see all over the country. It's something you see here in Utah, and we value it. And it's probably the most important single reason we decided to expand in Utah.
The company also has sites in Logan and South Jordan, employing about 2,000 Utahns. Coming up, what issues are Utah lawmakers looking to tackle over the next year? We'll break down their top priorities. The Utah legislature is unveiling priority bills lawmakers plan to examine over the next year. From taxes to medical marijuana, there is a lot to do. Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow has a preview from Utah's Capitol Hill.
Republican and Democratic legislative leaders set the priority list for the next year, tackling a number of big issues.
Utah has one of the shortest legislative sessions in the country, 45 days.
Over the interim, they'll examine issues that could result in legislation.
How we're going to handle the economy. What are the best tax cuts? We want to make sure that maybe next year we might have another 2023 may be the year of the tax cut again. So we want to look to see if that's feasible.
Lawmakers will consider whether to grant another income tax cut. Incentives the state hands out out to lure companies to Utah will be reviewed, including ones for tech companies, sports teams, and venues. The legislature will also review the nonprofit status of some healthcare systems and whether they give out enough charitable care. The post-pandemic economy will be top of mind as Utah's unemployment hits record lows, but costs are going up. Lawmakers will also look at what can be done for affordable housing and ways to deal with short-term rentals, which cut into housing availability. Highway safety and transit development will be examined. The controversial school vouchers will be coming back. Lawmakers will look at Utah's election system, reforms for mentally ill people caught up in the court system, and ways to make it easier to collect unpaid child support. With the lowest blood alcohol level in the nation, the legislature wants a review of the effectiveness of DUI laws. Legislative leaders are also considering creating a new state park in the Oquirrh Mountains. Water and drought will be an ongoing problem.
For example, with Great Salt Lake and with water needs, we have to address those things. We have to address air quality. We have to address water quality. And we have to do it sooner rather than later.
Happy 420 to you.
On the unofficial marijuana holiday, the legislature opened an inquiry into an overhaul of Utah's medical cannabis system. A working group is being set up to look into changes to the system voters approved, but the legislature created.
I would like us to really focus this program like it was intended. We've got a lot of players who are making a lot of money, but we need to open up those licenses and make this affordable for patients.
The legislature will meet over the summer and fall months to discuss these items. They could ultimately become bills in the 2023 legislative session. On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Still ahead, it was a fairy tale wedding for the ages tonight. The details of this new beginning for a World War II veteran and his beautiful bride.
Real Salt Lake hoping to avoid going one and done in the U.S. Open Cup tonight. And Game 3 between the Jazz and Mavericks is tomorrow night. Will we see Luka Doncic? We'll hear from the Mavericks star coming up in sports.
A new charitable collaboration unites the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square with a cruise line. The choir and cruise line Azamara will support ongoing relief efforts of CARE, the International Rescue Committee, and the American Red Cross. Money from cruise bookings will help victims of conflict, famine, disease, and other crises around the world. The choir would have used the cruise ship, or the cruise line, I should say, for its tour, which was canceled the past 2 years because of COVID-19. And rescheduling for this year didn't work out. Today in Orem, there was a special STEM fair hosted by several groups, including Utah Valley University and the Alpine School District. It was the big launch of a new STEM pilot program at Trailside Elementary. The twist? 6th grade students taught 2nd grade students about science, technology, engineering, and math. And educators say that makes a big difference.
When you teach something, you internalize it, you learn it better, you become passionate about it, and there's something really exciting about seeing the light come on, even for a 12-year-old, to see the light come on for an 8-year-old. It's a very empowering experience, and so hopefully they'll take this not only in STEM, but these leadership opportunities through multiple areas in their lives.
$40,000 in funding will be provided for elementary schools in rural areas to buy STEM kits to replicate events like what happened today. Today, the Natural History Museum of Utah launched a new module of their award-winning and free online education program for middle schoolers called Research Quest. Expanding their library of investigations, Triceratops Traits is designed for middle school science classes. Students get the chance to work with paleontologists to solve an evolutionary mystery by analyzing data from fossil records.
Some of the cool things that kids are going to be learning is, where did Triceratops come from? What are the different animals that it's related to? And what are the traits that actually paleontologists use to differentiate the differences between these species? Everybody likes dinosaurs. And if you've got to sit down and do a project in school, what better project to work on than actually looking at real dinosaur bones?
This exciting new program will be available for 6th to 8th grade middle school classrooms across the nation, not just here in Utah. Well, most people believe the world's oldest surviving printed book is the monumental 42-line Gutenberg Bible made in 1455. But a large group of historians and specialists, including some from the University of Utah, are working on a project generating awareness of the Jikji. Now, what remains largely unknown outside of East Asia is that the Jikji is the world's oldest surviving book, printed with movable metal type. It was printed 78 years earlier than the Gutenberg Bible in 1377 in South Korea. The University of Utah and an international team of researchers are working on the Jikji to Gutenberg project.
For the past almost 2 years, we've been organizing a way to try and understand more about the various specific things connected to early printing. But certainly Americans and Europeans, for the most part, are generally unaware that this early printing was going on in Korea.
Silverman went on to tell Fox 13 News there will be a collective meeting of these specialists at the Library of Congress next year. They plan to publish a book by 2025. The ultimate goal of this project is to create an exhibit by 2027, the 650th anniversary of the printing of the book Jikji. Easy for you to say, Allison.
Well, I've got how about wind? That's an easy word to pronounce. We have wind advisories that I'm tracking for tomorrow for western Utah. So definitely going to be feeling the high wind tomorrow. So what we're going to see is a storm moving in. Out ahead of it, clear skies. Tomorrow is going to be the warm before the storm. So looking at those temps at 7 a.m., feeling really good, around 50 to 55 for Provo, Eagle Mountain, Tooele, Salt Lake, Ogden. And then our wind is really going to start picking up late morning tomorrow. So for Salt Lake City tomorrow, 75, mostly cloudy and breezy. Ogden near 70. And for Provo, 74, partly cloudy and windy. For central and southern Utah, gusty conditions throughout the afternoon. Cedar City, 68. Richfield, 74. St. George, 82. For eastern Utah, for the Uinta Basin, 76 in Vernal, 76 in Price and breezy. And for Moab, 84 and windy. Windy is more wind than a breeze. So what we're going to be seeing tomorrow is gusty conditions here across the state, very windy conditions across southwest Utah. And we start seeing the rain filling in early on Friday morning. So this is going to be a little more than 24 hours out. And I wanted to pause this at this time, 3 a.m. on Friday, because we're going to start seeing some heavy to moderate rainfall moving in overnight tomorrow night into Friday morning. Friday 11 a.m. we're going to have scattered areas of rain, maybe even some thunderstorms and snow. A little bit more widespread as we head into the weekend. By Saturday at 7 a.m. we're going to see our snow levels dropping. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't start seeing some snow mixing into some of the valleys or benches. By Saturday night, we still have some rain and snow around. Same thing into Sunday. So our chance for precipitation here in Salt Lake City, it's most likely Friday day, Friday night into Saturday day. And so forecast snow totals, we're looking at potentially more than a foot of snow up in the mountains out of this. Maybe even 1 to 2, maybe 2.5 feet up in the upper Cottonwoods. For St. George, 82 tomorrow, 62 on Friday, near 70 this weekend. And for Salt Lake City, cold and wet this weekend with highs in the 50s.
Well, after splitting their first 2 games of the playoff series against Dallas, Game 3 between the Jazz and Mavericks tomorrow night in Salt Lake City. Jazz need to make some adjustments on the defensive end after the Mavericks made 22 three-pointers to win Game 2. It was a point of emphasis today. The Jazz need to guard their man a lot better in Game 3.
We talked about it today, there's no X's and O's. It's be clear on what you're doing, and the clear thing is not let your guys score. However that is, one-on-one, man up and guard. And with that being said, there's going to be breakdowns. There's going to be times, because they are good. They have guys who can make plays. They're going to get around you. They're going to spin. They're going to make plays. But we have to have each other's back. We got to, if Rudy helps, somebody has to help Rudy's guy. Rudy can't be hesitant in helping thinking that nobody's going to get out to the corner for a wide open three. So it's about, getting into the trenches right now, and that's it.
Jazz could face Luka Doncic for the first time this series after he missed the first 2 games with that strained left calf. Doncic fully practiced with the Mavericks today for the first time since he suffered the injury in the final game of the regular season 10 days ago. Said he doesn't want to rush anything, but he's ready to play.
I don't know if I'm going to be 100%. I think that's tough right now, but if I'm ready and there's no risk of injury, I'll be out there. But if there's going to be risk, I don't think I'm going to play. But like I say, yesterday and today we did some good things. I don't want to play limited minutes, because I've been nervous. I want to be out there the most time as possible. But I'm going to see how I feel, and we're going to talk to the medical staff.
NBA tonight, Game 3 between the 76ers and Raptors, tied at 101 with 2.6 left in overtime. Joel Embiid, 3 at the buzzer. Wow, what a shot by Embiid. Philadelphia won at 104-101. They lead the series 3-0. It was Game 2 between the Nets and Celtics. Brooklyn led it by 17, but Boston rallied. Jaylen Brown with the steal and the bucket at the other end. He had 22 points. Then it's Marcus Smart in the fourth. The Celtics won at 114-107. They lead that series 2-0. Real Salt Lake played a U.S. Open Cup match tonight at home against Northern Colorado. It's the second of 3 matches in 7 days for RSL, so they played some young guys. The Hellstorm didn't care. Rod Cornwall with a shot on the goal. That was the only one in the match. Northern Colorado won at 1-0, knocking RSL out of the U.S. Open Cup. We'll be right back.
You got to hear this. World War II veteran Alma Lawrence turned 100 in November. His children thought his health would improve if someone helped to take care of him. Kristen Copping was at that party, volunteered to take care of Alma. The two soon fell in love, and Alma popped the question. On April 11th at 11 a.m., she said yes. Tonight, they were married in the town of Summit near Cedar City for their honeymoon. Kristen says Alma is taking her to wherever his golf cart can take me. Congratulations, you two lovebirds.
Yes.
Way to go. QuickCast is next.